He's the master builder behind New Zealand Builder, the YouTube sensation. His videos rack up millions of views. If you're an investor, a homeowner, or just someone who doesn't like setting money on fire, then Josh Chapman is here to help you save tens of thousands of dollars on your renovation budget and propel you to financial freedom faster.
Financial freedom faster. Financial freedom faster.
If you like making money rather than watching everyone else do it, hit that subscribe button and get ahead, because this is New Zealand's fastest growing real estate and investment show. Josh Chapman is a Kiwi inspiration, dropping out of school when he was 16. He's better known as NZ Builder on YouTube, where his channel has nearly 90,000 subscribers and some of his videos get over 1 million hits. Let's start with the obvious, Josh. What's the single biggest mistake rookie investors make when building, and why does it end up costing them a fortune?
Well, first up, what an intro. Yes, I do all those things, but honestly, I'm just a boy from Upper Hutt who loves doing what I do, and am really enjoying the process of building people homes. Rookie mistakes, that's great. Where do I start? Honestly, the biggest one is, and I see it all the time, is not talking to your builder soon enough. There's this kind of conception out there with clients that you got to hold all your cards close to your chest, and that if you play your cards too early, the builder's going to take it all away from you. But the problem then is that they don't share anything with the builder, and they go through the entire process and they get a set of stamped plans and they're all excited and they give it to the builder, and the guy's like, wow, that's going to cost $1 million to build, or I wouldn't have done it that way. And so there's a knack to getting the builder involved early. First up, you don't want him or her to feel like he's being played off 6 other people. You kind of need to pick a team real early on. And your team is not just your architect. Your team is your builder and your engineer and your builder's subtrades. And you want to make sure they're local, and you want to make sure they vibe with you.
Now let's talk tradies. What's the trick to making sure they don't bleed you dry with unexpected expenses?
So my experience is that tradies aren't out there to bleed you dry. Sure, there are some cowboys, and we've all heard the horror stories, but for the most part, I would pick a family business in your local area, because if they're dropping kids off at school, they're most likely planning to live in your area for the next 10, 15 years. They're part of the community. They want to do a good job and leave a good reputation for you, just as much as you don't want them to bleed you dry.
Labor costs, an absolute daylight robbery or a necessary evil? How do smart investors keep these from spiraling out of control?
So I would say neither there. I would say that labor is wages, doing work. Building a house is over 1,000 hours from at least 30 to 40 different contractors. The reality is getting something to come up out of the ground takes work. And the tradies I work with just want a good, honest wage for a good, honest day's work.
Just a reminder, this is not just a YouTube channel, it's an unfair advantage in the property game. Subscribe now, stay ahead of the market, and never again be the person who says, I wish I'd known that sooner. Council consents, every investor's worst nightmare.
And every builder's.
What's the sneaky shortcut to getting approvals without losing years of your life?
Well, the problem with consents is that at a high level, the government is yapping on about how they're making the process easier. But on the ground, for both the builder and even the council inspectors, it is nothing but simple. It is getting more and more complicated. But my theory to navigating that complexity is to find the path of least resistance. For example, don't propose to the council that you're going to move the water main. Don't propose to the council that you're going to move the main sewer line running in your backyard. That's just going to strike a whole bunch of red tape. Find the path of least resistance for your job. That makes not only your job easy, but it makes the council's job easy in approving your project. That would mean sticking to tried and true products. That would mean sticking to tried and true building methods. That would mean not trying to breach things like setbacks or going too extreme. pull it in and stay within the guidelines.
Prefab versus traditional build. One sounds like a futuristic and cool thing. The other sounds like a nightmare of delays. Which one actually saves investors the most money?
The reality is here in New Zealand, we are a small island nation. We're not a flat land. We're not Holland where it's dead flat, right? And so the answer is really neither. The reality is here in New Zealand that you need to make sure that your project suits your style, needs and budget. And whether you go prefab or whether you go bespoke build, you need to make sure that you are doing the right thing for your project.
Some investors swear by DIY to cut costs. Be honest, at what point does saving money actually turn into you're making a total hash of it?
Yeah, this is a great one. And I think, especially when you're starting out, you want to get stuck in and put a coat of paint up or build a deck. And some of that can be really fun and rewarding. I think what you've got to work out is, first of all, the opportunity cost of you doing what you do best. If you're a software engineer or a graphic designer or a banker, you're probably better going to work and doing that. The next thing you've got to ask yourself is, are you doing this because you're trying to save money, or are you doing it because it brings you joy? If going and working on your investment property in the weekend brings you joy, all power to you. Continue to do it. The third and final bit would be working out your, making sure that your expectations of your own skills are aligned with the project. For example, repainting a bathroom, easy. Ripping all the wall linings off and replacing all the plumbing fixtures, probably would use a professional. Also, if you're going to move things around, you need to check you're not going to trigger consent.
Materials pricing is like the stock market, up, down, all over the place. What's the insider trick to locking in the best prices before they skyrocket?
For sure, materials went up over COVID like crazy, and it was a hot topic in the news. It's actually gone down and stabilized. And historically, over the last 10 years, you'll see that material prices go up really fast and then they flatline for a couple of years. And this period of time is no different. It's just that COVID drove it up a lot. I believe we're heading into a period of stability with both pricing and supply.
Every builder has a horror story. What's the worst case of investor stupidity you've ever seen, and what should people learn from it?
I think it comes back to what I said at the start about picking your team. And if every person you talk to is saying, do it this way, or talk to this person, or this is how we do it most of the time, and then as an investor you think, no, I know better, I will do it my way, usually those are the horror stories for not only the investor, but for the whole team involved along the way. So listen to, if people are saying, do it this way, use these people, listen to them.
What's the biggest myth about building costs that investors still believe, even though it's complete rubbish?
Okay, here's one. I think people still think there's no jib available and that the shortages we had in 2022 still exist. Honestly, the whole market has calmed down and the whole market is thankful for that. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief when it got a little less hectic. I think one thing is that it's always investor versus tradie and that all builders are cowboys. But the majority of builders, the majority of tradies just want to do a good job.
Finally, if you have to give just one piece of advice to investors to stop them from hemorrhaging cash on their build, what would it be?
I think that the trick to not hemorrhaging money is to have a very, very clear brief before you even talk to anyone. You need to understand exactly what you're doing. Are you building it to, are you trying to increase equity? Are you trying to increase rental income? Is this going to be a power play? Are you increasing your own personal equity and then you're going to use that to leverage off later? If you don't know why you're doing it, how the heck can we help you?
Thanks for joining us, Josh. Amazing advice. Now remember everyone, he's New Zealand Builder, NZ Builder on YouTube. And just a reminder, your competition has already subscribed to the fastest growing property and investment channel in New Zealand. That means they're getting the insights first, making the moves first, and locking in profits while you're still debating whether to click a button. Be smart and subscribe.
Less debt, more cash, passive income coming fast. Make your money work for you. Live the dream, it's overdue. So don't just wait, take control. Mortgage HQ will make you bold. Financial freedom's in your hands.